here and get this thing way. Let me go on here and get this straight. YouTube be acting up kind of funny, so let me go ahead and get this thing straight. I'm coming to you live. We're going to get this thing connected. Show ain't going off. Okay, let me go and get this thing stringed up. Let me turn this thing real quick. This thing real quick again. Let's get this thing straight. Hey, what's up? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? How you doing? How you doing? I am on live now. Uh, we are coming to you live today. Good to see you. Poll question is pretty simple. Can the New York Knicks become a dynasty? Um, and I look around the NBA, and if they beat the Spurs, they got a chance to go back. I'm saying it already because Jalen Brunson is in his peak in his prime. He's gonna be legit for next 2 3 years. Injuries and Cat too. So can this team be a problem? Mike Brown, they win this one, they might could pull another one. We are in need of a dynasty. That makes for great NBA. And wouldn't it be something the Knicks somehow miraculously become that Knicks dynasty? So yeah, this is the question. Can the Knicks be a dynasty? And I've also said that if Mike Brown wins this chip, he will be top two Knicks coach. Because if you think about it, how you doing? Your timing is perfect. Good to see you. Okay, what's your question? How you doing? I just got on. Um, they got a chance to. Got a chance. Got a chance. They got a chance. No, it's all black. Unless you include what's in it. If you want to say some native as far as in my ancestry, yeah. But it's African American. But if you want to say there is native, but black folks are native too. So it's all tied to in this. It's in the family. But if the police pull you over, it's always black. That's a good question. I ain't banning nobody unless they vulgar and they say something that is offensive. I don't do those sort of things because I don't deal with a lot of trolls. But if I get a troll, yes. As long as you're not a troll, I have no problem. So by all means, I think this New York Knicks thing is going to be pretty good. Let me check some real quick. Yes, feel free to ask your question. Well, that can mean different things. That can be personal. That can be because of how people are. I know what that's like. I've had that predicament. I've had that predicament. It's not a good feeling. Uh, okay. I don't usually get told that, but okay, that's fine. It's all natural. Where are you coming from today, by the way, if you mind me asking? Now, let me address this thing about the Knicks. 50% says, 50% say no. I think they can be a dynasty because I think they can attract something. Even though I can't stand their owner, James Dolan, but I think they could be. They could be. Because who ain't going to want to not play with Jalen Brunson? And you saw how Cat fits in real good with the Knicks. So why not? Why not? So that's how I look at it. I think we're gonna do pretty good today, though. I think we'll have a pretty good day today. What's happening? He should get it. He should get it. I said Magic Johnson, Kawhi Leonard, Scottie Pippen. How you doing? What's happening? How you feeling? Thank you. What's up, TT? What's up, TT? Yeah, they got no answer for him. They got no answer for him. He's punishing him. He's making Wimby look like, you know, you talking about now of all time. If you ask me of all time, it's Walt Clyde Frazier. If you ask me today, it's probably Jalen Brunson. I like Brunson a lot. And I used to like John Starks. They're guys that I've liked that's played for the Knicks. And one of my favorites was Michael Ray Richardson. He can't do that. He got to learn how to get a sky hook. Oh, if he could go to Kareem and use a hook, because I think that would do wonders for him. Yeah, ever since he gonna have that syndrome that I've seen happen to some other guys. Made that 3-point logo against OKC, and that's how he's kind of gotten complacent. But again, they're a young team. I did not expect them to get to the final this year. I think he overachieved personally. There's nothing wrong with runner up, but I think that 4 or 5 years people understand what I mean. When he gets some seasoning, 3 or 4 years from now, that's gonna be a different player. Well, he didn't. You asked me for the Knicks. You didn't ask me who my all-time favorite player was, but yeah, he's going through this honeymoon phase, and he's got to play like that because that's what the bigs do today. But if he had a low post skyhook or he forced the issue, you know, he's one dimensional right now, and he's like I said before, he's playing that way, and they don't have the right. They're a green team. Yeah, yeah, he's a lot of people's favorite. I just got on. How you doing? It's only been like 5 minutes. No, no, because they had to impose different centers against Shaq. There was multiple bodies that Houston threw at Shaq. And when him and Olajuwon almost canceled each other out scoring wise. And the thing was, if Nick Anderson makes that free throw, they probably win game one. They lost. They lost their momentum early. The problem with Wemby, though, unlike Shaq, is that he was not. He had a chance to make some. He's had inroads to do better. Shaq was still coming along, but the other thing about Wemby's situation is that they don't really have structure. Yeah, I know. It says it's till June 9th, and you know. Yeah, but I thought he would have been better if he had been like a freestyle for other teams. I think he made the mistake, and he could have gone other places. He could have won. Yeah, I think they're gonna bring the Michael thing back because I heard they've been toying with it. It's in Japan right now. It's blowing up. No, I don't see no comparison with the Shaq run because this Knicks team is better than that Houston team. Um, and that was just a matter of having the right coach, the right system with Shaq, which I think with Winyama too. But I think that they got some tweaking. But I think that no, I don't really see any comparisons. They different players. If Wemby played like Shaq, even then, this series is a different series. Yeah, they are better. But I picked New York to win the series. Drexler had one last good run in him, and he was smarter than Penny because Carmelo was a shooter, scorer first, and he never had the qualities that Brunson has. Brunson is got get on my back. Brunson's tough. Thank you so much, TC. Thank you. Appreciate that. Um, you can tell when someone's got leadership qualities. What's happening? How you living? Thanks for coming through. Carmelo never had leadership qualities. Carmelo is going to be one of the baddest scorers ever. That he's going to two places that won't retire his jersey, New York and Denver. Why? Because he didn't embrace stuff. Different mindset. Brunson left Dallas with the mindset never again. He had to deal with the Luca thing. He wasn't going to deal with that if he gone somewhere else. It's your mind built. It's not your physical build. It's your mind built. And I think that, and Melo would have been like Cat, if you think about it. Had Melo embraced his inner Cat, I'm not in the States. I used to live on the West Coast. What about yourself? Better play. Oh, out of them three, it's Dominique. Why did he feel never again? What do you mean? Why did he feel never again? I don't know what that means. Why did he feel never again? I lived on the West Coast. I was near there once. Anik, because T Mac had the most skills, but he never got to Neek's level. Melo could purely score, but he never got to Neek's level. Let me read this again. That's a good question. I'd say in the 12 slot, not quite top 10. But as a New York Knicks coach, he moves up to number 2 because he did something that the others didn't do is win. Red Holtzman will always be number 1. Pat Riley's got number 2. He wins a chip, he moves up to number 2. See, this is the strangest thing about the Knicks. They're the strangest franchise for such a big market. Everybody can win, can move up positions, whereas some places you can't. Brown can move up to top 2 because he'll have a chip over Pat Riley, over Jeff Van Gundy. He'll have a chip over Hubie Brown, Rick Pitino. There's a lot of them. League and repeat. Yes, he did. Well, he did get Cleveland to the finals. He did a good job in Sacramento. Them knuckleheads just buckled down. And you saw what happened with Aaron Fox. I'll say this. He wins a chip, he's about 12, 13. But if he wins another ring, then he moves up into like the 7 or 8 slot, 8, 9 slot easily. He wins 2 rings, gets him about 7 or 8 with me because I put in the body of work, and then that guy has been good where he's gone. He had no choice. He didn't have no home. If you have somebody raid your house and destroy your crib, are you gonna ever go back the same? If he wins a ring, yes. Because he will have gone behind somebody and didn't wreck it. Doc Rivers had a chance to probably be a top 5 coach if he wins with Joel Embiid and he wins with Giannis. And what happened? He had 2 MVP and couldn't get it done. No, I I do videos regularly on here. I've had live streams before. This is probably your first time checking me out. I was on here the other day, as a matter of fact. I was here on Thursday, and I will be back here probably on. If I'm not on tomorrow, I'll be on probably Thursday. So it's possible I'll be on tomorrow. So look out. If you subscribe, you should be able to find me. And I'm all over the internet. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, different places. Uh, yeah. If he wins, he won't be over Doc yet. All right. Well, come through next time you come through. Yeah, I think he wins the ring. He's not that far. He's right there with Doc. Because Doc done messed up too much for my liking. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you. I try to be entertaining, informative, and enlightened. I wouldn't quite use that term, but we talk about sports, we talk about life, we talk about music, talk about politics, we talk about a lot of different things. I don't usually use that kind of word to describe how I talk. It's what the questions get asked. It's something to jump off of. It's not, you know, it's a jump off. It's like anything you want to use as a jump off, you know. Depends on what you into. You talk about a music artist that you like, we can talk about that. It all depends what you want to talk about. Oh, okay. No, football is. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a long time since I did that. I did that video a long time ago. And yeah, that was quite a while ago. But if you watch my old videos, you can see I ain't no Johnny come lately to no Michael Jackson. Thank you so much. Baseball was when I was a kid. And I love the game, but it's not the same. Even with interleague play and everything, I just think Rob Manfield, they're missing something. I can't put my finger on it. I think Barry Bonds need to be in the Hall of Fame. And I think Roger Clemens and all those guys should be in the Hall of Fame. I think that's one of the reasons why I can't wrap my arms around it. Because they too judgmental and there's too much politics. And I think that's hurt my mindset. Oh, Otani's the baddest cat going. And he right now, in my personal opinion, is one of the top 10 greatest players ever. You can't even begin to understand what he's doing. He's on his own orbit. He's 101. He's one of those guys that even though I don't like the politics of the game, no, you're welcome to talk because anybody wants to get in, get in. I will address everything. Thank you for that comment. I've had many conversations about a lot of topics, and so we get into a lot of different topics. Now, I think I'll turn it back. Yeah, I have musically, that guy's one of the baddest. And I ain't gonna fake the funk. I love his music as an artist. And unlike the industry and people cancel, shoot, that guy they still be listening to his music and buying his money. He just got, it's two different things. There's two things can be true. He can be a person that you don't particularly like as a person, but to sit there and act like that man's music, because he's one of the 10 most influential R&B artists ever. And as a songwriter, producer, artist, come on now. Kales dominated the 90s and dominated the OOs for the most part. Shoot, he beat you so many ways. It was crazy. He had slow cuts, he had anthems, stepper songs. I mean, come on now. You can't even begin to write about it. I don't care for Kanye. I always thought he was a clown. I like his bongo beats when they first came out, but I think he's one of those people that thinks he's deeper than what he is. And these people misconstrue because you have a few hit songs with you being some kind of genius or that you great. He ain't. He ain't. He's entertaining. I'll give him that. He was. He just a clown. Thank you. Thank you. Had this hat for over a decade. Keep it fresh though. Bought it in a shop some years ago. That's a good question. Well, I don't even want to entertain it, miss. Because if you know me, I can't stand Trump at all. And James Dolan is a troll and an idiot. Um, Best between them? Common is the best between them, but I like Twister the best. Yee more for production. Lupe is like a junior whopper Common, but I like Twister more of all of them. I ain't no genius gets spread too much. Favorite music artist is Michael Jackson. I'm gonna be on maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Give me a question mark tomorrow. Question mark maybe Thursday, and definitely on Thursday. So that's the one for sure. Oh, you heard that no one's gonna show The Rock turned down the UFC event. The Rock turned. They not gonna go to Trump's crap. He didn't turn a lot of people off. In case you ain't heard. Only person he can attract consistently is Vanilla Ice. Or if Obama pull a mess like that, they try to burn the White House down. I could tell you that on sign. Obama couldn't do the half. So when people come at me and say, "Oh, it's not as racist," it's not. Yes, it is. Because if Obama pulled the half the mess what Trump did, oh shucks, they'd be burning it down. No, I'm on tomorrow later, probably about maybe. Let me see what time it is. Yeah, maybe around this time tomorrow. So be on the lookout tomorrow. Wednesday, right around this time, and then definitely Thursday I'll be on. So I will definitely be on a couple times. I won't be on Friday. Saturday question mark, and definitely next Sunday I'll be on. So no, if Obama pulled a half the stunt Trump did, you already know. I hate having to tell people common sense stuff because people don't want to acknowledge how racist the stuff be, but it is. You can't pull the half of stuff. That's just the fact. So I'm just reading stuff. Yeah, Michael's my favorite artist. Michael and Stevie are my two favorite. I mean, it's just like my favorites are what I mainly like. I love a lot of artists, but Michael Jackson was a turning point for me. Steve Wonder's right there too. I love a lot of artists, and there's a lot of artists I don't like. So if you ask me enough, you'll find out. I run backwards and forwards. The Rams for Matthew Stafford's legacy in terms of him being a top 10 quarterback and Sean McVay legacy. But would I say championship bust for them? Not as much as it would be for Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Because you got to put all that in the same criteria. Matthew's got a chip. Those guys need a chip. So it's championship or bust for those guys. For him, it's more about adding his. Prince, late top 10, lower. Would have been. I'm because a lot he put too much stuff out. I didn't heard his new song too, by the way, Stone, which is out. And they just be putting out anything. And again, had he stopped, so say like he stopped and then put out so much stuff, I would probably say yeah. I think he was one of the greats, but well, thank you for coming through. Appreciate you. Off the wall. Because I was a youngster when that came out. And it was like being in Fantasy Island. It was just his voice, his soul, his vibe was like, wow. And that was an era where you had to bring it, you know. Not to me. It just sounds like Cream. If you like Cream and you like that Batman era stuff and that early 90s stuff, you'll like it. Not for me. I heard it's a hybrid of the 70s, 80s, 90s, 00s. Well, let me keep it 100 with you. His 80s stuff is bar none my favorite era of his. 70s is okay, depends on which what you talk style. Didn't care for him in the 90s. Didn't care for him in the 00s. Me and Prince, like, he was incredible in the 80s. Everything else, I got a really maybe. It's a hard maybe. I heard the song, it was okay. It wasn't like knocking my socks off. There ain't gonna be nothing he's gonna put that I'm gonna go, wow, because his all his best stuff was already released. It's just like with Michael, it's just like with most people. Most I hate to say this, when most artists pass, Donna Summer in a blowout. And I like ONJ, but I love Donna Summers. There's a difference. Donna Summer was bad, yo. ONJ was good. I like ONJ a lot, but she can't touch Donna Summer. I like when Prince thing for me is like, yeah, hey, he, live performer, yeah, top in that high. Studio stuff, like the old stuff though. But he put out a lot of stuff that I kind of like. But you know, but today does mark his would have been his birthday, and they're out at Paisley Park, so. What do I expect? I expect Wimby to have to like come out and just try to hang on the rim. Okay. He has to come out. They have to get champagne ball. They have to get Darren Fox has to assert himself. They have to assert themselves. Oh yeah, there's some good reggae. I like the old stuff though. Start bench cut already. Uh, Ali's gonna win to me because I got him over Jordan and Brady combined because he was able to do more. He was more versatile than both of them put together because of how he had to strategize from Sonny Liston to Joe Frazier to George Foreman and Ken Norton, and he did it with incredible. He was greater for a longer period of time. Who would be second? Athlete? If we talking athlete, Jordan is second, and then Brady. If you're talking about who moved me for his impact for duration, Ali, Brady, Jordan. But if we're talking about athlete, I'm gonna say Ali, Jordan, and Brady. Oh, Marley's one of the greatest artists ever because he's a face of reggae. See, Marley is to reggae like Michael Jackson was to pop, like BB King was to blues, like Miles Davis to jazz or Louis Armstrong. Ali's the best to me of the three because he dominated, he showed you versatility, and he had range. And he had to go against a whole lot of different techniques. Um, Brady got better over time. His volume got better. Jordan got better. Jordan was raw, got better, but it's predicating a lot of different factors. Yeah, when you talk about reggae, you ask most people. Ask people that we're on right now. Ask Timmy, ask Charlene, ask them, well, who's the name that comes up to reggae? I don't know if he got an advantage of coaching before. I think that's tendencies. I think Fox's problem. Fox just been off though. Oh yeah, most stuff sounds better than today's music. You don't have to. That's with most stuff, because the artists don't hit like that no more. tendencies. Yeah, Bob Marley's one of the greatest, man. The problem, you can use that logic, but Darren Fox's problem is that he's streaky. And that's regardless of Mike Brown or not. He's just streaky. So, that's exactly what I'm saying. He's so dominant, that's who most people think of. You talk to most heads about reggae and you mention a name, they're going to say Marley. So, okay. Uh, that's the understatement of the day. If they don't win game 3, yeah, they're done. They are done. I just don't think they're gonna come back in this series because the problem is that the Knicks can beat them so many ways, and what the Spurs have to do, they can't do. Not only they have to attack Cat, but then they gotta worry about boxing out. They have to. It's like, what kind of game do we play to beat the Knicks? Because if we try to slow them down, then that slows us down because we don't have a low post dominant presence. And if we go fast and we miss, so they're in a catch 22. Charles Barkley was 100%. This is not a good matchup for the Spurs, which I said. I hate to say this, they'd have been better off tanking to OKC and then come back next year, make some trades, get a couple pet bulls off the bench, get your guard position right. Because you need to get rid of Harrison Barnes. He up there throwing Easter eggs on you. You got to get you a couple pit bulls. Then you got to get you a point guard who can be give and go with Wemby. Wemby got to get him a bank shot, hook shot, make him pay. No, I didn't say the Knicks want the Spurs to win. I said OKC. I said it would have been better for OKC because the Spurs. This is a nice put your banner up Western Conference. You're not a championship team. Now, ask me 2, 3, 4 years down the line, Wemby goes like I think he's gonna go. They get themselves some seasoning. Oh yeah, if he can win 2 or 3 rings, oh yeah, he'll look back on this and say, "Yeah, I'm glad that happened." It's like that's the only thing with Shaq. How you doing? How you doing? That's the only maybe comparison you could make with Shaq. But again, Shaq also happened to have a Phil Jackson and had a system. Yes, I do. They got to go to New York. They're not winning in New York no 3 games. Who are we kidding? You lost 2 in San Antonio. You're not beating them no 3 out of you. Who are we kidding? I said when the Spurs won that was a better matchup for New York because when Yamba, OKC and New York can cancel each other out because it's guard to guard, movement to movement. And yep, because SGA, because he can force the issue with the guard spot. When you play against a team, with the problem with Wanyama is he been free safety, right? So he scared Chad Holmgren and Heinstein, right? Thank you. He sat back there, right? So he was like, you seen Jurassic Park when Samuel Jackson got ate up and he was like the dinosaur, right? Now with Cat out there, because Charles Barkley said the same thing I've been saying, you got to come all the way out there. And Cat is taking his head down, going down, putting his head down, driving. Then he's getting his Magic Johnson on throwing no-look passes. Then he's getting his Kawhi Leonard on putting body shots on him. Then he's getting his Scottie Pippen on by getting rebounds, assists. Blah, blah. It's like, what are we doing? And then you got to worry about Jalen Brunson. To me, game 1 stat, the Spurs did a better job in game 2. But if they OGB, this ain't the same. They knew the sag on SGA. They knew this. They got no answer for Cat. Chad Holmgren was horrible. Heinstein was okay. But once they had injuries and Alex Caruso can only do so much, they didn't have nothing. You got to worry about OG, Josh Hart, Bridges, Cat, Brunson. and Shepard, who's hitting all them threes off the bench, is tearing their behind up. So you got this ain't the D'Antoni situation. And what Mike Brown is doing is that they filling out the sheets. So when I look at the sheets, I see assists, rebounds, block. I'm like, okay, they beating you. How are you gonna match that energy? And so the Spurs have got themselves into a hole that they're not coming out of this. If they win this though, then they win like 3 chips in a row. That's how much I'm sure that the Knicks are going to win. If the Spurs would have come win this series, they're winning 3 in a row. I don't see it right now. Yeah, but the problem that he gonna run into is that if he gets going, will they match him? See, they don't even play good cohesive team ball. And I said this before. They young. I don't know about how tired they are. This before. They gave up a game to Portland. Probably should have lost 2 in that series. Overwhelmed Minnesota enough. Boy, and if Mike Conley, if they had any kind of guard play or Rudy Gobert had anything, that series could have gone 7. Struggled in OKC. They were a better team than OKC had to go 7. See, somewhere along the line, you wear yourself out. No, it ain't gonna be destroyed. They'll be cool. They'll just be excited because they've been waiting a long time. That's all. They're not gonna destroy Jack. That's just some media myth that wants to some say that mess. They won't destroy nothing. They deserve to win though. They deserve to win. They definitely have had to wait. I ain't got no problem if they win. I think they deserve to win. I know they're the better team. And I admit, I didn't know if the Knicks were gonna do it because they look strict. The Atlanta series was the turning point. Cause once I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't think they're gonna do too much. I think they're gonna be excited, but then again, I think they'll be respectful. I don't think it's gonna be like that. I don't think they thought it was gonna happen. But they've been knocking on the door the past couple of years if you watch. And now they might own the East. They might just own the East because if Jalen Brown goes, so if there's a move, then that opens up a box. Well, the Knicks are going to keep their nucleus together. And then after that, all you got is what? Detroit got to get a player. See, I'm going to tell you something. All them teams after are flawed. Well, what's happening? How you doing? Well, not only are they playing physical with him, but they're also showing that he is a wanderer, you know, and he can't he can only circle so much. Well, that was a bit different situation. They'll be ecstatic, but I know they don't like to play physical because that's what happened with Nazi Reed when he hit that, when and they're gonna have to bulk him up. They're gonna have to get him, they're gonna have to put some cake on him. They play light in the cakes, and that's what happens. And they're gonna have to figure out how to, fight New York back, screens, picks. What they're gonna have to do, they can't do this series because the series will be over. If they slow the game down, they're gonna get their butt manhandled because they don't have no cakes. If you force him to ballet dance all around, yes. The same thing that he does well is the same thing's working against him. That's all it is. Because Cat's big and Cat can finesse him and he can't do nothing with it. That's why I don't want to hear about Wimby on the same mention with Shaq and Wilton, Russell, and Kareem, and Elijah and Moses Malone and David Robinson. Not yet. Not yet. That's why Robert Ory was right when he said pump the brakes. Because you got to put the work in. We all can romanticize something, but you got to put the work in. You got a chance to get there, but he got to put the work in. And this is a true test. He still could be a great player, but he has to have a low post shot though. Well, Chat is a frustrating dude. Okay, Chad Holmgren. I said you need to be the Clay Thompson to SGA's Steph, and he didn't get the message. He settles for little 12-foot shots. He doesn't come into the hole aggressive. He hasn't really played that great. So what happened to him was going to happen regardless, because he didn't take the mantle to be the side to 1A. And see, until he goes another level, they're going to get exposed because people are going to stack up on him and pound him. He's got game, but he is passive, and you're not going to last being passive, especially when you're a one-trick pony. It'd be one thing if he morphed into like a Kevin Love type and had a passing game and all that. He doesn't give you enough all-around game. So therefore, I don't give a lot. I don't think there's going to be a lot of depth there. He won't take a look in the mirror because he'll think he's okay. And then what'll happen was when his butt gets ready to get on the trading block, then he'll be like, "Oh, I wish I had a, And they'd have every right to trade him because he was horrible." Do you think Freddie Gibbs? What's that mean? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Oh, Fred, he all right. He all right. I know a couple cats that like him a lot. He all right. He's all right. He all right. Mm. I just say he's all right. I'm not a fan of his. I just say he all right. When I say you all right, that means that you kind of passable. Doesn't mean that I sit around listening to you, you know, because most of these acts are just all right. That's all. Most of these acts is just all right. And I tell you all the time, there's a reason why Michael Jackson got 40, 50-year-old songs tearing these stuff up. That ain't doing again, hip hop to say you harder than those two ain't no compliment. That just means that and yet some people dig or some don't, you know. And the cats that are supposedly the top dogs with hip hop today ain't that deep. So it's like just alright. I like the 50% for the Knicks. That's just pretty good. Now he's nowhere near those two. He's not even Drake level. But again, people looking for somebody to get hyped about. Not for me, but if you go by success and charts, he is. If you go by actual rap skills, no. But again, it depends on who you ask. He's got two things going for him. He got longevity because the cat's been around almost 20 years and he's still happening for people. And he got a track record where people support him. So that's what he's got going for him. But for my standards, no. Not for my standards. But again, different people have different strokes. So they say. So they say. There are fellas who like him too. I mean, he's got a cross appeal. I always thought he was corny though, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You got people who be like champion some stuff that I see it. But when I think of him, I still think he's like a panhandling artist though. I don't see all the love. So that's how I see it. But I'm not no Drake head, so oh yeah. Well, see, this is the reality. I can't even we talk about hip hop today. We not talking about like how we looked at hip hop 25, 30, 40 years ago. It's different. A cat like Drake wouldn't have been able to hang back then, okay? He'd have been treated like PM Dawn, because that's what he sound like. But the audience today is more watered down. They like this generic type of thing. Oh yeah. It's just different flavor, that's all. But there's no counting for taste. But that's why. So people come at me and say, "Well, okay, why you this or this or why that?" I said, "Well, you see why people responded." Let's see what you got. And that's not even my favorite Tupac record, but he had more momentum. Pac made you feel stuff. I don't feel nothing with Drake. I just think he's just some cat that's like some corporate tie-in that they didn't made into some ballooned him up. I just don't feel it's any deep. But you know, so well, Pac complained. Pac wore his feelings. It's two different artists. Pac made you feel like he was living his moments and he was just throwing everything out there. But he was a poet about it. Drake's one of those kind of people. He composes stuff, but it just seems like he's just sensationalized something on how he is, and it just doesn't hit the same for me. I don't, I don't even look at them in the same musical orbit. No, I don't, because see, Pac was a different kind of rapper than Drake, and you know, Drake's situation is fabricated. So was Pac's to an extent, but he still was more believable as a poet. Well, in machine or not, he's a standard, and that's what you go by. I mean, what is the what is the new deal worth? I heard he's going. Oh, that's because of the streams. He can get a $2 billion deal for streams. Would I be shocked? No, no. And streaming ain't going nowhere. It's not the way same thing. It's none of them. Don't ask me. I never cared for none of his records. Songs is okay. He just a mid act to me. See, when I stay consistent, I'm not gonna sit around and say, "Oh, I like his records." No, if I say you overrated and I look at like you garbage or you just mid, you don't have no albums I like. I find him boring. He can put two glitter gloves on, he still comes off like the hamburger helper. He sucks. It's not as much as you think because he has to stream a lot, and that's potential if he sells and if he can move it. You gotta remember something. Until he owns his masters, they're gonna still be eating off of him. So it seems like it, but how much is guaranteed? It's a poof piece. No, they still got 360 deals because they own your live stream. I mean, they own your merch. I am unbiased because when I listen to your music, I got to see if you're worth the hype, and I have never felt he's worth the hype. Yeah, well, I try not to listen to what Jay-Z gotta say. You know how I feel about him too. I think he janky as all get out and overrated. That's a diss track right there. If you're the male version of her, because she's one of the worst artists I've ever heard in my life. I mean, she can't even hold a microphone straight. But she didn't get a job based on her musicality. You know, that espresso song was cute, but she doesn't do nothing for me though. Of course, she's still recording. Shoot, she's got Madonna on the song. Madonna got some wax song out, and she's got they working together. It was a catchy cut. It was cute. I can't believe she could spell espresso because I didn't think her vocabulary was that deep. I've listened. I ain't really, so I was impressed that she knew how to spell espresso. She looks like she's malnourished to me. I don't see nothing special about how she looked. I think she's corny and and just like it's almost like some industry freak A&R cat that's what it looks like to me. I don't see nothing there. Yeah, she should be. She made all her coins off of her merch deal. She ain't make no money off of no music. Not since the rain. You gotta go back in the day when they gotta win a game and they gotta play 4 quarters of basketball and they gotta find a way to play smart half court basketball and stop hoping that they can run up because running with the Knicks is gonna run them out the building. I don't think Rihanna gonna worry about no comeback. I mean, she's straight right now. I don't think she worried about the music. She got her masters, by the way, so what would she come back for? She owns her masters. She had already made smart business deals. That's nothing to come back to. She did the halftime show. She's done the thing. I don't think people gonna run to no store. We not in that kind of era no more. In another era, you're right, but this ain't that era. But another era, yeah. I think they can make the playoffs. It's the matter, can he match up against the Dodgers? Can he match up against Atlanta? It's like, can y'all match up when y'all need to match up? That's the key. Because they're geared to try to take on the Dodgers, but I got to see what they could do early on. As far as I'm concerned, it's the Dodgers to win or lose until otherwise. Because if Otani's playing like that and they're getting contributions, it's going for a three-peat. Well, not quite, because the Red Sox did win like 4 chips in the last 20 years. The Cubs just got that one. And the Cubs actually are in better shape than the Red Sox because the Red Sox are tearing up the bottom. They're in the bottom, which I love. So if you're a Red Sox fan, you need to keep that to yourself because I love in this right about now. Your butt's in the bottom. You fire your manager and you're tearing the bottom up. No, because the Red Sox got 4 chips in the last 20 plus years. Boston, Chicago got one. I know. And the Red Sox didn't have to deal with no Bart man. So no, 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 no. Who knows if Bartman don't pull that ball if the Cubs get another chance with Sosa. You know. Yeah, I know about Buckner. But still. I'm talking about the last 25 years. I ain't talking about anything about that. They got 4 rings. Cubs got one. So I'm not feeling bad. You know how hard it is to win one, let alone have 4. So the Red Sox are not having any bad luck. Yep. Yeah. So okay. So we got. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm like, it's not even. Yeah, you can't even bring that up to me when they win a World Series, and like this ain't like the NBA or the NFL. You know, oh shucks, the Bills would be the fit because the Patriots got AJ Brown, but if he goes to Kansas City, that could be electricity. So it's got to be out of Buffalo and Kansas City. New England can't do nothing with Jefferson and AJ, but he come to Buffalo, KC. Yeah, I'm the Vikings. I'm looking for the best deal I can get. Only if, only if they, the secondary comes up big. It can be. And I heard about Donald talking about coming out of retirement, so I don't know. Well, this is because this is the Matthew Stafford. Let's win now. So I don't know. We'll see. Cubs are a good team, you know. But like I said before, everybody's chasing the Dodgers. Everybody knows what's up. So we'll see. Yeah, because he's almost like Babe Ruth against them now. They have not really been the same since. Yeah, well, they went to 2 finals, and again, they couldn't attract the right personnel. Things just didn't work out. It's tough to win. In basketball, it's hard to come back from 3-0. Why is it so hard? Because your momentum is not the same. Um, you you've been exposed. You think about look at San Antonio when everybody asks me why I think it's over. Because they got beat by 10, then they lose by 1. And it's kind of like, how do we beat this team? And we got to go to their yard. I mean, it's gonna be tough. Yep, that's what happened. It's tough to come back. Well, because you're giving up so much energy, and you got to figure out there's so many plays you're gonna call, so many ways you're gonna try to utilize and lay on what someone's doing. And good luck with that. So basketball is tough because usually you get worn down. But yeah, I don't even talk about Caitlin Clark. It's just a matter of time before someone clotheslines her. She's up there dissing refs, crying all the time, and she's gonna fool around. She's about to find out the hard way. She's a tacky turkey, so I got no love for her. You know, she was a media creation, and it's like that's what it is. That's how best way I can describe her. Paige Bucket is better than her. Joe Wilson. Even Angel Reese is doing. I did a video about Angel Reese on the rebounds and the scoring. It's like they want the white hype at the most, mediocre ways and hoping that she'll morph into something. And she's just not going to morph into that. So they can keep on kissing up to her whackness. Yep. That's all I said. That's what they want. Mhm. New York and LA won't do no justice to her. Too flawed. Had to change her mindset. Nope, she sure don't. She'll be retired before she even signs the contract. Mm-hmm. So, nope. New York ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Now, when you mope it, dope it. Mm-mm. See what I got real quick. Yeah, they get entitled. That's what you get. But I'm not tripping about it because I ain't, again, I ain't sweating her. Our funny looking fans got to deal with that mess. I ain't. Okay. See what y'all talking about. See, well, you can tell with that, but it don't translate if you don't win, and she's not going to win. So, but yeah, it's been there. But she's mediocre. She's mid as all get out though. I mean, I could understand, she rebounded or she has some assists or she's a mid player. And if that outside shot ain't falling in or the drives, and she's up a creek. So, but I don't really like talking about her much though. It's just, Uh-huh. Now, I think it's pretty straightforward though. Hmm. What we got? Let's see, we got some messages coming through. Okay, we got quiet. No one didn't say nothing lately, so I just kind of like, okay. Okay. Star bench cut. Juice, and then Tails in the Hood and the Vampire gets cut. It's horrible. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, Vampire in Brooklyn don't even belong on that list. I know he was dressed up like Nick Ashford with the curl, but now Juice and Tails in the Hood, yeah. I'll start Juice and I'll bench Tales from the Hood. That's it. Vampire in Brooklyn is yikes. No, it happens. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I'm gonna be taking them personal because people got a life, and it's just glad that people come through and want to show support and some love. So it's all good. Yeah, that was pretty pathetic, though. But he tried, just like his live, just like his music albums, and I like Eddie too. But but that was just corny, though. That's what got him in trouble with some people in the '90s because he was trying anything, and sometimes it's almost like he takes a paycheck just to say he was in a movie. But you got 1380 kids to feed. You gotta do what you gotta do. What's up? How you doing? Oh, Alexander O'Neal to start. That's a no brainer. It's in that order. It's in that order. Because Melvin Riley is, he had a moment with Ready for the World. Jimmy Fox ain't going out singing. Yeah, but the difference is that Phillip Rivers ain't never hit though like Eddie. There's the difference. Well, I'm gonna chalk that up because you don't know no better, and I'm to take that personal. But he can't touch Alexander O'Neal. Are you kidding me? Alexander O'Neal will run circles around Jamie Foxx. Are you kidding me? Shh. Jamie can emulate people, but he can't go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He can't run with nobody like that. Talking about whatever. We're just talking about basketball. We're talking about whatever. It's all good. Jamie to me is always mid. The Ray thing should have made him bigger, better. It didn't. It didn't. It didn't. He peaked and he kind of settled, and you know, he's good, but I don't think he's great. If I thought he was great, I'd say he could run roughshod over most what's out here now. He can't. He can't. He's not dominant. He did something he could do with the Ray Charles thing, but even that he didn't fully take it to the finish line. Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be. Why would he go anywhere else? Where else could he go? He's meant to be a spur for life. The problem, again, it's just a matter of fundamentally, adding to his body, adding to his game. That's all. Not feeling it on a whole, no. Because it's nothing to get excited about. You got a lot of gimmick, a lot of analytics. You know, it's not the same. Yeah, I keep up what's going on because I have to do videos, which I do commentary, and I have comments and I watch. But I don't really feel it like that. No, because there ain't no competition. Some people think that the West is superior, but yet if you go the last 8 years, both sides them if Knicks win, it's gonna be 4-4. 4 East, 4 West. So it's not that distinctive, you know. And the truth is Kawhi Leonard had to stay over in Toronto, the East would have been dominating more. So just saying, it's not as really much. I think there's a lot of potential teams in the West that you get excited about, but I don't know. Nope, nope, nope. Because Sock'em should have been effective against OKC when you consider his experience with Toronto as a sidekick to Kawhi Leonard. Should have had something. And now it's hard to say, but I think OKC would have eased up out of it. No, you don't need to. I don't need to watch a whole game. Um, Case in point, the way the Knicks have been winning. Brunson, they tap on you, they wear you down, then they make they run. What was your other question? No, I said, what was your other question? If I missed it, I'm about to go back up. What did I miss? When are you gonna pop back up? You asked when I'm gonna pop back up. You told me when I'm gonna come back again. I'm on here for at least another hour today, and I'm back on tomorrow later, and then maybe Wednesday, definitely Thursday. That's the plan. If that's what you asking. No, I don't have to watch a whole game. It's like with any sport or music. I don't need a whole go through the whole scenario. I can get enough of what I got because I can tune in. These NBA games, you don't need to watch the whole thing to get no picture. Because most of these games are pretty much a play or two, which you can kind of see things coming in. If they blow the Spurs out, do you agree with the? Okay. Oh, if they blow them out, then the Spurs didn't belong, and it just goes to prove my point about what I said. I don't think the Spurs get blowed out, but if they get blowed out, it just proves what I said. They were a year two, and they were overwhelmed, which I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Knicks are going to play better than they did, but the Knicks put so much pressure on you that you can't prepare for what they're putting on you. You know, Spurs got on OKC because they didn't let SGA dance and get to the free throw line. They almost blew that. Gotta remember that first game against OKC. They had a 10-point lead and they almost flew around and blew that. And if Wemby don't hit that 30-foot three and they lose that game, that series could go on either way. So let's not act like they, even though they had the physicality against OKC, that was a pick'em series. Mike Brown them had enough time to kind of watch film, see what they don't like to do, see what they like to do, and this is what you're seeing. And again, they're a young team. I do believe with some tweaking at the point guard spot, tweaking off the bench, I think they're gonna be a dangerous team. But they're not that team yet. And they got some big decisions to make about who. Well, obviously Harrison Barnes got to go. They need a pit bull or two off the bench, and I mean they need somebody who can do the dirt. Like if I was the Spurs, shoot, a cat like Alex Caruso would be like somebody I would love to get my hands on. And then with Wemby, you wish a guy like Tyrese Halliburton was available. You wish. Because a guy like that with him, shoot, they're coming out the West. And they might win. So, but until until they get some things addressed, they're gonna be just a step off. But they got a chance to, a chance to do some things. So, you know, that's what's up. But if they blow them out, yeah. I think they can blow them out at least one game. I think they're gonna look to put the juggler on them. I think he can make maneuvers, but I just think that he's gonna have a tough time. That's all. That's all. So now they weren't gonna win with him. And the problem with him in Minnesota is that him and Ant didn't coexist properly because of the style. Also, again, it didn't work because Ant needed the focal point. There was just a lot of little things that they didn't do, you know. I am? Okay, let me ask you this question. Who else in the East is legit? Because Boston should have been. That's not happening. Philly is mentally discombobulated, and that's not going to happen. No, because Ant thought he was soft and should have boxed up. But Ant ain't really developed a mindset to understand how to differentiate how to get the most out of his teammates. So they don't play cohesive basketball. Told you before, Mike Conley too old. I like Mike Conley, but he's just stealing money. And Rudy Gobert is too soft. He don't dominate. So you got two holes on your front five. Then you got those bigs who like to shoot threes, which they can do, but they are a limited team. They're a limited team, and they're not a championship team. They're a dangerous team. They're a team that can win a couple rounds. They can't get past anybody who can put some wood on them and get physical with them. And Ant has got raw bone skills, but he doesn't have the right head coach, doesn't have the right center, doesn't have the right point guard. And some of those guys they got starting should be off the bench. Then they would be dangerous. Cats ain't held accountable. And Cat is in a situation where he can play top of the key and do his thing. Ant's got to be ball hogging too much, and that was run the problem runs into. And yeah, Jalen Brunson might shoot the ball too much, but JB also plays within the predator, plays within the proximities of the team. Ant doesn't. Big difference. Minnesota didn't have the right pieces in place. And that's why they couldn't go no farther. They're a team that's close, but then they're far away. And they haven't had the right coach either. So there you go. Because they don't have the right pieces in place. That's why. And if you put someone with the right pieces, Zach LaVine is just like a guy that's a professional stat patter. He's got all the makings of everyday today's player that you don't like, but he's analytically correct. And that's the problem. He's for the analytics. He should be a sought after free agent. People would want him if he was legit, but he ain't. Just because they don't put the right pieces in place. That's what happens. They didn't give KG nothing when he was there. Kevin Love had nothing when he was there. Cat was a cat that was basically a sidekick who would have been dangerous, but they put pressure on him. He wasn't meant to be that dude. Wiggins wasn't that dude either. That's the proud bottom line. You got to have cats that have sidekicks and everybody ain't alpha. That's what happens. It was the same thing with OKC until, you know, they got the right pieces there. I just think it's one of his most Milky Wave albums. I just think it was too whitewashed to me. I think Doves Cry is an incredible song. I loved Baby I'm a Star. And Purple Rain depends on the day. Some days I like it, some days I'm. But I just thought it was a whitewash album. I thought it was I thought, yeah, commercially, but I just think it was one of his run of the mills to me. I never got it. Not like that. I liked it as far as the movie, but not as far as just listening to it. I didn't say it didn't touch anything he did solo wise, but in the peak of peak and prime of prime, now. Mm-mm. Because I just thought it's lacking that warmth for me. I think Prince is a true chameleon and a lot of cap. he wanted what Michael had, but he wanted his own time. Prince was one of those kind of people that wanted the silverware, the napkins, the plates, the cups, and the meal, but yet he wanted it to be when he wanted, but yeah, he wanted it. And yeah, he wanted what Michael had. He of course he did. I don't know about always trying to catch him, but I think he was a particular point where he definitely wanted to be held in that regard. And I think that he did strive for that because he was aware of it. And, it was like, I got this, but it's not always cracked up to be. I think he wanted to sell a lot of records. I think Prince is no different than any artist signed a major label. They want to be as successful as they can be. Well, Michael got most of the love because he just had, yeah, that's what I've said about Prince. Prince got love. Like most people who come at you about Prince brag about how many instruments and his that. But after that, that's where the argument dies. I'm not gonna say they jealous of Michael, but I will say this. Let me turn this camera back on. I think that for someone that they have to go overboard about real musician and all this other stuff, they have to try to make a point to convince who exactly. You know. Prince's problem is that he over put too much stuff out, and when he was at his peak, he had hits. When he didn't have no hits, then he fell off. And his thing was, strong live performer. For me, dangerous. But that Dirty Mind is the most important album for Prince's catalog. But I listen to Dangerous more though. I listen to Dangerous more. It is. It is. It's some of the most stupidest thing because um they act like Prince played like 80 instruments and that he was like composing some of these in-depth concertos. He's not. Talented dude, yes. But it's not like, it's some of the deepest foreign, like he was on some, Yeah, it's about the songs. Quincy Jones always, it's about the songs. We can talk about appeal and all that. It's about the songs you got. And Prince, uh, the reason why people kind of fell off is because the songs weren't there no more, you know. And he toyed and teased and plotted. A lot of his records are uneven as all get out. Talented dude, you know, because he played a lot of plays. He played instruments in that puts him in the argument more than actual the results. I think that's one of the things that people miss out on because they throw that at you, but it's like, okay, but how am that really connected? And and are we connecting more than just one era? For me, if I okay, for me, I'd probably say 1999 because I thought his musicality was his best that era for that era. I'll give him that. And I like the Bad album a lot. I think it's a classic in Michael's repertoire. But Prince 1999 era's production where he was on one then. That to me was his peak and his prime as far as being a producer. As far as his production goes and what he was putting, to me. Now that doesn't mean that it's a great album all the way through. But I think he had more, think he just happened to hit. That's just my personal opinion. Because there's songs that I like on there, songs I don't. But that's where he was at his like he seemed like he was on another orbit, you know. So I'll give him that. What song you didn't like? What you mean? I don't think it is. I think he like I said, the talent is there, But he could have used another writer and a producer on some of his projects. He could have, especially in the 90s. I mean, a lot of that stuff just sounded like he was a beat off or he was trying to mimic what was happening. And no, a lot of that because it's called songwriting. Like I think Lionel Richie's songwriting has aged better than stuff Prince did and Michael did. If you're talking about songwriting, but the Michael thing that aged well is because you can still listen to the old stuff and it still holds up. Um, Prince's great stuff holds up, but then there's a lot of stuff that doesn't. And it just sounds like he just was throwing stuff out there, which, you know. And I think that as a live performer, that's where he really holds up. That to me more so. I disagree with you on that. Vocally, yes. Artistry, no. Because he didn't have the run. Well, his peak and prime was what? And his peak and prime ain't touching neither one of them. He never had records that people cared more than the hits by. His hits, but if we go by the runs of the records now, no one talked about it there. Come on, nothing. Teddy ain't in that argument. Because next you're gonna tell me he holds up as well as Luther Vandross. No. I like Teddy for hits, but and his voice, but a lot of his stuff was just in that moment, you know. Like I love when somebody loves you back. I can listen to his hits, yeah. But I don't look at him as like some game changing artist. They're hits. They're hits. So let me break this down since I gotta have this argument. Michael 70s, 80s could almost do no wrong. 90s, he was good, then he faded. It was good, then it faded. Prince, average 90s, okay in the 70s, great in the 80s. Teddy's stuff with Harold Melvin and Blue Notes I like, and then some of it solo. But not enough where I sat there and looked at him as in the same conversation, no. Stylistics had great songs. I think, certain parts, but well, I don't know, because I'm gonna say it like this: when their peaks were better than most people's, I'm gonna say that, and their peaks were certainly better than Teddy Pendergrass's peaks. Stylistics, I like. I like those hits that they have, but I can't say that they had the kind of run those guys had. I can't say that. Like the hits though. You know. But not no Teddy Pendergrass though. No. 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 And not the stylistics on the whole. If you say the OJs, I might listen to you. If you say the Temptations, I can listen to that. And I love the stylistics, but I can't put them quite like that. Teddy, definitely not. Well, let me break this down. History was the first record of his where just because his talent was so great that he could do your stuff doesn't mean that he should have. Because there was cats who Michael could produce work with anybody, but it didn't mean that you're gonna get the right results. So it was just kind of like meh. It was just there on some of that stuff, you know. Chaos and Disorder was just like somebody just going through the motions being of themselves that didn't really want no part of it. That's what that sounded like. And that's one of the things that kind of, so I think History was like the first record of his where I was like, okay. It was some good stuff, a couple great things, and then it was mixed, and then it was like just there. That's the first time I listened to a solo record of his, and I thought, okay. But at that stage, again, he was free balling. He was free balling at that stage. Wasn't the same cat. So there was some things and whatnot. Chaos and disorder don't even belong in the same conversation. He outworked Prince. What you mean? Why didn't he work as hard as Prince? Uh, do you not understand his era with the Jackson 5? 69 through 76. Look it up. 69 through 82, the man put a record out every year. Look it up. It's just that why it don't look like as much is because he hit big with Thrill and Off the Water. That hit, he bought himself some time. He came up in the old machine. That's what Prince was calling the old machine. Motown worked his butt. Tour, album, tour, album, tour, tour, album, tour, tour, tour. People forget he had 5 albums out, 4 albums out. Yeah. Well, if you go by that. But okay. But the Motown era alone, 69 through 76, nonstop crazy records. No, he was good. He wasn't as great. I thought Dangerous was a very good record, and History was decent. After that, the rest of that stuff was yeah. Because he was working, because it counts. Because he had to go in the studio and record the vocals. Then they had to go tour. They had to do the same process year in year out. And there is a bunch of catalog that came out that Motown was sitting on that he was cutting tracks. So that's called work. And Prince for the record did do cover songs. They weren't that memorable, but he covered too. It always counts. And he had 4 Motown solo records. So he had that, plus he was working. So you sit there and say he was working. He worked on his craft. He worked on as a writer. He was working on projects. And then when they got to Sony, they had the 2 Jackson records before they got with, for Destiny, and then everything else. If you want to say a better talent in terms that he played bass and was singing, but if you're talking about the artistry now, he was probably just talented, but he didn't have the artistry. And with Jermaine, you can't really say what the artistry era peaked in prime because that's up for discussion. It's a crazy debate. But I did like Jermaine a lot though. Jermaine was bad. Like I said before, if you could play and sing bass and songs that you didn't even write the parts on, you're a bad dude. Not to mention talent scout, and he played on the switch records he could play. But he was envious of his brother in the sense that Michael had the career Michael did things Michael had and Jermaine didn't put the work in. That's all. Jermaine's a bad talent. Skills wise, bad dude. Just never drop. You can make an argument for Peter Tosh. You can make an argument for uh 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 uh, uh Jimmy Cliff. Depends on what you like. It's just that Marley wrote some big songs, and that's what people go based on, and it was hits and all that. But um, you can make cases. You can make cases. There's everybody that listen to reggae ain't all about Marley fan, okay? But it's just that he was dominant. He wrote big songs, and that's what something. Because actually, matter of fact, when he died, that Legend album blew up. That's what has happened. Because when he was alive, it wasn't all this love like that. So yeah, Gregory Isaacs got some talent. You know, still depending on who you talk about. So all depends on who you. Yeah. I've listened to his stuff. I think he had a song called Night Nurse or something. He had some cuts back in the day. And believe me, I'll tell you a story too. 70s reggae don't sound like the dance hall and the Afro beats and all that. It was a whole different style of reggae. Whole different style. Lionel. Because Lionel Richie still got the, you know, Lionel Richie all night long. Who's one of the best songwriters ever. That's why them songs still hold up. Lionel Richie's underappreciated because he belonged in the same conversation with Michael and Prince too. He really do. I mean, you wrote all them classes with the Commodores, and you had a great solo career and a live performer, and you won all them awards, and you co-wrote "We Are the World" with Michael Jackson. I mean, he's got a gold medal career, and one of the baddest album tracks ever was "Love Will Find a Way." That song still is cold. I gotta say, "Dirty Diana." It holds up. It has a certain groove to it. Storytelling is better. And I think that with the guitar and the grooves, I just think and that's the good thing about Michael because they're two different types of grooves and songs. But Dirty Diana has that type of thing that it just catches you. I love Remember the Time, but that's because he sold the vocals. It was if you actually get to see the footage where he rehearsed it, where he did like an African beat, the first minute, it's on YouTube. That's worth checking out. He had this cold African arrangement, which sadly he never brought it live. It was nice because he added more layers to it. You know, he went straight coming to America with it, and I liked it. Had a tribal man beat. You know, this is that chorus that Michael made it. Michael hit that chorus on that song. That's what made that song. Remember my baby, remember the time. Do you remember? He go, remember the time. When he hit that chorus, and he did, he said, my baby, remember the time. That's what sold it. Woo! Because the syncopation of it made it move. But the song, production wise, it's them chords that were cool, but it wasn't like he added, where's Dirty Diana? Oh, boom, 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 boom. Because it had a lot more feeling to it. It had a storyline, had a bite to it. We doing this? I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna take the Jacksons over the time, but out of this, blame on the boogie. I like Jungle Love a lot, but Blame on the Boogie is more catchier. And it has such a carefree vibe about it. You know, Jackson's got more better songs than that time stuff. There's a few time stuff that I like, but a lot of that stuff was just done like kind of tongue in cheek. You know, when it stood out, it stood out. It's a good case in point about what I make about Prince being hit and miss, because the time was a great example of that. It was hit and miss. You know, and when he hit, but when he missed, he missed. Whereas the Jacksons, there's people who debate the Destiny album, the Triumph album. The time first two records I like, hit and miss, and you could take the best stuff and it's tight, but then it's got some clunkers on there too, so it all depends. So it all depends on what your preference is. I like Jungle Love. I like the groove of it. But Blame It on the Boogie still sounds fresh though. Something about that vocal cadence that, you know. Time should have been one of the baddest bands too. Should have been. Hold on, be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I take something real quick. Had to step out for just a moment. I'm back. Casey Musgraves was okay. It's okay. Let me see what I missed on. 12 play. Better songs, but I think it's funny thing about 12 play and TP2. TP2 got more consistency, but 12 play got more iconic songs. I like TP2. It grew on me. I no comment about that. Musgraves is okay. I think that's a good question about 12 play though. But yeah, TP2. I think 12 play got the edge though. But TP2 is tight though. It's one of his best albums though. You know, like I said, Kills musically could do no wrong really from like 93 to about 04. I like this category. Missed opportunity to do bigger. Okay. This is gonna be good. It's gotta be from that list. Tyrese. Tyrese, and then I'll say John B. And everybody else is just mediocre after that. Carl Thomas was cool, but I didn't have a lot of faith in him. I thought he almost sounded like he was an okay singer. Some of the songs were cool, but I almost thought he was just kind of there. John B and Tyrese are the only two answers. And let me tell you why. John B from the writer producer perspective. Artist perspective, he could have been the big white hope. What you think about Thick, but Tyrese is the correct answer because Tyrese had the voice with the Coke commercial. He had the appeal, but he didn't have the goods. He didn't have what he had. It just didn't connect. And he should have had that all around bigger career than John B. John B for being a white dude who could have been like a cool white dude with it. So I think those are the only two answers. But I could say Tyrese though. Yeah, and funny thing, I had this video recently where L.A. Reid said that his second album was the best project he had on the Face Records. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. I like Donnell. And Donnell was definitely inspired by Michael and Stevie, but he was too streaky. Yeah. Talent, but he didn't have no depth. When he hit, but if he missed, it was like, oh boy. And then there was a lot of holes in his stuff, so I don't know. Yeah, but he had the best opportunity to have a bigger career. Cause when you think about it, he had the TV commercial, he had the music career, he had the film career. That should have been a household name. That should have been household. He's the missed opportunity. I can't say that about John B because John B was in that cool vibe. Because Tyrese could sing, but Tyrese is one of those cats you kind of pull for because of his voice, but he had no depth. But everybody Michael like I ain't that doesn't mean that I agreed with either. Sometimes you gotta look at some great artists and some of the people that they like. That don't necessarily mean you agree with them. Tyrese had something, but he missed a lot. Then when he tried to be Black Tie with his hip hop career, you know, I didn't think much about it because it's like he saw potential, but it's like you got to have the songs. And Tyrese is one of those guys that's like he longed to be like this long suffering soul. He's supposed to be doing the Teddy Pendergrass movie too. So I don't know what happened with that. I don't know. You know. You ask me what I think because people will co-sign people all the time. Does that mean that they necessarily agree? Nope. Just mean they had a co-sign from somebody who saw something. Doesn't mean much of anything. I don't sit around going, well, Michael Jackson thought he was good. He was good. That don't mean nothing. I don't know. I thought he should have had a bigger career though. I remember when he was in Usher's My Way video dancing, and I thought he should have been giving Usher some problems as a vocalist, as an artist, and he never was. He never was. He had what I consider good second tier talent, but fourth tier results. When they co-signed her in the back room, that's where they co-signed her at. You already know how that got co-signed. I don't have to spell that out. There, that was taken care of. Because if you're an OnlyFans talent, we could take care of that. We know how that got co-signed. OnlyFans level talent gets co-signed a certain way, and they ain't got nothing to do with no words and music. That's what that reads to me. And a lot of that is even more prevalent and relevant than ever, as though it's always been there. But when you start talking about Ice Spice and some of these others, you already know. We not into no, we not gonna mistaken her for Sarah Vaughan or Ella Fitzgerald, okay? No. Just like Little Nas X ain't gonna be mistaken, you know, for Lattimore, okay? Shoot. You know how this goes. You better ask somebody. And these acts come out now are really getting themselves pimped out to the worst and the highest bidder. Cause it's like it's really like, okay. You can pretty much guess how it goes. Rick and Tina. Janet ain't on Michael's level to add nothing. And Michael would be panhandling if he started working with, which he kind of did when he did Scream. He was panhandling. Whereas Rick and Tina had real chemistry and it really translated and you felt it. They felt because it brought out the best in each other. Janet ain't on Michael's level. She been able to formulate a great career. I'll give her that. But she ain't on his level. No, not like that. He had more chemistry with Latoya, and Latoya couldn't sing. But Nighttime Lover and when she did the screaming on the Heartbreak Hotel in the background, but just saying. And he worked with Reby, and I did like the slow down version of Fly Away. You know, the Centipede was cool, but not like, no. Whereas Rick and Tina, it sounded natural. So, just more organic to me. He did. They did it. You Don't Stand Another Chance. That was on her second album. That was a Dream Street record. He did. And she was a background vocalist on PYT. She sung background with the Facts of Life girls and Latoya and How Hugh and all them. They did work together. And she was on the demo of Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. You ain't never heard You Don't Stand Another Chance. It's on her second album, Dream Street record. Go look it up. That came out in 84. It was a corny album, but Don't Stand No Chance was a cool song. There was another song on the record that they were all on it because Marlon was producing. They were doing background. But the record was corny though. First record was cool, but the second one was corny. That's what almost got her dropped. Until John McClane, who used to be the co-runner of the Michael Estate, hooked her up with Jamie Lewis, and the rest of they say was history. So yeah, you gotta go do some research. And Janet did some things. She, so. Well, we were talking about Michael, and there's a whole history that if you didn't do no research on you. And remember something, I've been listening to the Jacksons forever and a day, so all of them. And you know, you know. But you're not gonna hear that about Janet Jackson because Janet Jackson's first two records weren't that. PYT. Only thing that was cool about All Right it had a hip hop beat, and I liked it when the Heavy D remix was on. But PYT is a better song, both versions. I like Marlon music. He was okay. I like the Marlon dance, which is more hilarious when he do that gyrating with his body. But musically, he was okay. He was mid. As a dancer, that he was probably closest to Michael, but musically, he was down the lane. My wife and kids is gonna be top dog. And then I'd probably say in second place, Jamie Foxx, Sheldon, and the Wayans brothers. The Wayans brothers are so annoying, but I did like Witherspoon, but I gotta say Jamie Foxx by default for number two. Wife and kids number one. It's all connected though. It's all connected. Fresh Prince. Especially the OG Aunt Viv era. Martin was more about the characterization, but he didn't flesh out the characters enough besides his own ego. I don't think it's closer. I thought Martin was more talented, but I thought Will did a better job with Uncle Phil's character, with Jazz, with Ashley. You had more better characters. He had more in common with Tisha Arnold than he did with Tisha. If you want to know the chemistry, that's the charge was actually with that. Tommy and them were cool. His side characters were funny. That's what really made the show. And I like Martin. But if you're talking about the better show with all the versions, Fresh Prince had more variety. You could get more out of the characters. Martin was basically just like, he was doing like a show within a show. I think that there was comedy in that because if you can play the Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin role of Will Smith and Carlton to play the tap dance in town and make that thing work, that was hard to pull off. Because Alfonso Roberto's from the hood. See? So that was some good acting. The Valley role. Come on now. Martin was just playing Martin. He played in the tight. That whole thing of Bel Air and that whole thing was the how they adapted to Cali life and all that is way more compelling. Martin's funnier, but again, that's because he has to do Shanae. He had to do 15 different characters. But his real chemistry is with Tisha Arnold. That's to me. Like I remember the pool shark of Will Smith, the Fresh Prince, that was cold. There was things that they did that was subtle or not so that worked. So you have to be good at that. You know, that's all. Okay, I'm gonna get off in about a couple minutes. No, she was bad, but I looked at chemistry. I looked at totality. And when you ask people about who's a bad TV, that Uncle Phil got some love. Phil Avery got some love. She was a baddie. She didn't have a lot of talent, but she was bad. Cause I remember Damon Wayans and her in that Major Pain. That's what what's his butt? Who gives his interesting takes on stuff. Can't think of him now. I'm not thinking about him right now. But anyway, he was in that movie. He was a kid in that movie, and he said that the van was getting beat up, and Damon was all on her. But that's not why though. That's not why though. Yeah, because you had more character. You had more character. See, if Martin Lawrence was doing that show today, he would have taken a cue from Bernie Mac. Well, the Bernie Mac took the laugh track off, and he actually had to think. Think about the process. So yeah. No, I heard that. So what's his butt? Who was the cat that was in that movie? The kid. He's grown now because he always got all these takes about different things. I can't think of him right now because he used to mess with Raven Simone. What's his name? Because he's the one who said Prince had it coming on the Vlad. That's what blew him up. Oh God, what am I thinking of him right now? But anyway, he said on the set that she was getting that yeah, Orlando Brown. Yep. And he came out and said that he said in the side van he was getting work. Yeah, she did. She was in that Kid and Play movie too, The Broke House Party 8. And that one came out in 92. Yeah, she was eye candy. She was messing with Tupac. She was, listen now. She was kind of like Cree Summers' baby sister, you know. It wasn't because she was some great actress or nothing like that. She was never gonna be no Hollywood a top tier actress. She was gonna be more like a Z list. But she looked good and she had it going on, but she had no skills. Who we gonna kid? We not kidding nobody. So and besides, she was black and no, she don't. Been is because she's been drenched out with the Clorox, and she didn't have no skills. No way. It's a shame. No, I'm not gonna say that because she was a peer of Hadley. The problem was she had no skills. And Hallie was eye candy, so it was just a matter of who was gonna get crossover. That's all it was. They were in the same boat. And now that's sad, but I gotta say Maya. And that's sad because Maya can't hold Mariah Carey note, but ain't nobody trying to hear no Mariah Carey record no more. I ain't trying to hear Maya's record either, but it sounds better. It's got more groove. Mariah ain't got no. She all corny leftovers Silk Sonic stuff that just no. She had leftover corn, but and she just going through the motions. She bored. That's all. I'm gonna get out of here in a minute though. And I'll come back tomorrow. And definitely on Wednesday. So appreciate everybody that came through though. Yeah, but she ain't got no talent. She lost her natural mind. She sold her soul too. This black folks, this to everything. All right, I'm gonna give her a bounce though. We'll do it again. Uh she had to. She did, cause when she did the swordfish for John Travolta, she took her clothes off. That's what got her some love. That's how she got that Oscar. And Diddy was in that movie too, played her husband on death row. It's all the stuff that you see unfolding is what's happening before your eyes. She had to do what she had to do if she wanted to get that token Oscar. But she came back the next day and she said she still was black and they had no love for her. So, and you notice her career ain't been the same since that whole thing. Just saying. All right, I will catch y'all. I will be back. I'll be out tomorrow. And we'll wrap. Say that question. I'll talk more about Hallie and Billy Bob because that was a real situation. And she sold it. She went to the movie set after she got the Oscar, and they basically said, "Okay, what do you want? You just got an Oscar. We're not giving you no love." That's what happened. That's why she been kind of like put out to dry. And Nia Long's getting on her love right now too, by the way. But that's no story though. All right, I will catch you. See you soon. Appreciate everybody came through. If the Spurs do come back, yeah, they it's now or never, and they got their work cut out. I don't think. All right, I'm out. Peace.